Yeah.
Good evening. Now let's get it started with today's topic, Bridges to Breakthroughs, with our special guest, Dr. Trenton Watson. Dr. Watson is a proud native of Memphis, Tennessee, and a lifelong champion for education. A graduate of Tennessee State University, Cumberland University, and the University of Arizona, he blends academic excellence with a deep commitment to community transformation. Currently serving as the principal of Westwood High School, Dr. Watson leads with conviction, compassion, and clarity, ensuring every student is equipped to succeed at the highest level. From inspiring morning messages to strategic leadership initiatives, he works daily to cultivate a culture of excellence and equity. A devoted husband and father of 4, Dr. Watson brings both heart and vision to his work. His journey through various roles, from classroom teacher to administrator, has shaped his belief that learning is never accidental. He often says, the most intelligent people aren't those with all the answers, they're the ones who relentlessly seek the right information. Rooted in his Memphis upbringing, Dr. Watson sees his work as a sacred calling. It is with extreme delight that I serve the students of this great city. Memphis made me, and now I get to help shape its future. Listeners and viewers here and at home, please welcome our host, Dr. Whitty. Good evening, and welcome to DrWhitty Today. We have an awesome guest. You already heard it, Dr. Trenton Watson. He's a great educator, and so we're going to be talking to him today about some of the challenges that educators are facing in 2025. So, Dr. Watson, give us a shout out. Tell us how you're feeling.
I feel great. It's been a good day. All good. I'm so excited to be here, and thank you for inviting me on the show. It is without question that I'm humbled and honored to sit here and chat with you on this evening.
All right, great. I'm just gonna say this. Just before we went live, I just spilled all my water all over my all over my desktop. So I'm sitting here hoping that it doesn't interfere with anything. Anyway, it's great to be here. So I'm glad that you accepted the invitation. So we're going to talk about your experiences as an educator, and also we're going to talk about your book, Bridges and Breakthroughs. I apologize for that. So without any further ado, I'm going to start off by asking you this question, Doc. What are some of the challenges that educators are facing in 2025?
One of the biggest challenges that we're facing is that there are not enough of us. You used to be, when you would go to a hiring fair, it would be standing room only. People would be lined up outside trying to get into the educational field. And now you may sit in a hiring fair for 4 or 5 hours, and you may have 30 people come in because it's not attractive to people to be in education. And I know that, people talk about money, but it's more than that. It's just about, people looking at a perspective of, I don't want to be an educator, because whether they feel like the children are a certain way or the parents are a certain way, or, there may be some challenges with the upper level administration. You can't find educators like you used to. And I mean educators, not just teachers, because there is a big difference.
A big difference. I'm glad you said that. I was just watching a interview prior to coming on here, and one of the people was talking about a conversation that they overheard in a room full of, well, not full of educators, but it was an incident that happened in a classroom where another teacher said to her student that I'm not here to teach you math.
Wow.
And so the question was, well, what are you here to teach me? You're the math teacher, right? what are you here? What are you here to teach me? And so when I thought of that, I thought, wow, what a thing to say to another student. And then why then as an educator, if you do hold that seat, then why are you there? And I'm of the belief that a lot of educators today, um, it's almost I can't remember what year it was, but I remember when my kids was in school, and I heard their teachers say that it wasn't their job to teach them.
Mm-hmm.
And that baffled me because I said, well, what is your job to do? And in essence, they were trying to say that it's the parent's job. How do you feel about that before I even say what came to my mind?
Now, so let me say this. If you're in a classroom and you say, well, it's not my job to teach you math, what you should say is, it's not my job to just teach you math. My job is to teach you math and to inspire you to want to be more than you could have ever dreamed of. That's what a teacher's job is. A real educator's job is not to just spew out information for you to regurgitate on a standardized test. I want to inspire you that when you leave my room, you believe that you can move mountains with math or English or science or social studies or whatever, because you've gained so much information, impactful information, that you can go out and say, man, I learned so much that I almost can teach this to somebody else. Because that's how a real educator responds to their children every day. I mean, if you get a person in the classroom, say, I'm not here to teach you math. That's what you call an educated employee.
An educated employee. You talked about that in your book. Yeah, I remember that. Um, well, going back to my question, it made me think of, like I said years ago, when my kids' teacher, basically insinuated that it was the parents' job to teach. And I thought I was quite baffled by that because my question was, if I'm qualified to be, now don't get me wrong, I'm sure I can teach a lot of things to my children, but I'm thinking if I was qualified to be in your seat, then why would I need to send them to you? Why would any parent need to send their kids to school if it was, if the parents were, you know, I guess qualified or certified teachers in a sense? So
True.
that baffled me. But that's the mindset of a lot of teachers going forward that are coming up now. That's the mindset. And what I experienced too was um, I had sat in my kid's class one day because when I was helping my one of my children with math, and I would ask a question, and I'll just give an example. What is 2 plus 2? Well, 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay, well, how do you know that 2 plus 2 equals 4?
Right.
What helps you to understand that? And so at that time, they could not tell me, but they could tell me 2 plus 2 was 4. So I had a very hard time understanding how you could give me the answer, but not understand how you got there. So what I did one day, I was sitting in their classroom, and I noticed that the teacher was simply, you know, put basically pointing at a board and
Mm-hmm.
saying 2 plus 2 is 4, but there was no explanation. So basically, the children were just memorizing answers, but they couldn't tell you why.
Right.
So I thought that was really interesting because to me, it's all about how and why,
Right.
because that gives you the full understanding and it helps you appreciate everything that you're learning. But
Right.
like you said, things are different. Some things are moving and progressing in a good way, and then others are not so much. And so that was
So,
one of the things I
so,
thought was not so much. Go ahead.
so Doc, here's the thing. As we were coming up, and generations before us, we learned by rote memorization. And for example, what's 10 times 10?
100.
Okay. What's 12 times 12?
See, I'm not that good at math.
Now, okay, well, Now we stopped at 12 times 12. Now if I ask you what's
100. Oh,
39,
no, go ahead.
13 times 9, there's a legitimate pause, because now you got to try to figure out in your head, okay, 9 times 3, 27, and carry the 2, blah, blah, blah. But when we were younger, again, rote memorization is how we learn. That's why I say 2 plus 2 equals 4, right? Now there's a push for kids to use cognitive analyzation. What you were to not only tell me that 2 plus 2 equals 4, but why does 2 plus 2 equals 4? That's why if you look at the statistics, do you realize that there are more honor students in India than there are children in the United States? That should shake the foundation of the core of education in this country all the way together. Like, dude, are you kidding me? Yeah, this is where we are, because cognitively they learn different. And because of the foundation that we were given, it's hard for our kids to catch up, because this is how we learn, was through rote memorization. And if I learn through rote memorization and you try to make me learn cognitively, it becomes very difficult. And math is an Achilles heel in our community.
Exactly. 144.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Glad you didn't have Barbara Williams in the 3rd grade, boy, because you would have got that sweet brown sugar if you didn't know that answer.
Oh, no, it's funny. When you asked me, I drew a roadblock, but I knew the answer to that one. And the math bee, the math bee was never anything I ever wanted to be a part of.
Right.
Just because I knew me and math is not, I'm not like quick on math. I can do it on paper, take my time and work out problems and all of that. But if you wanted me to spew it out and add a math bee, I couldn't do it.
Well, Doc, I'm with you, because that was never me either.
Yeah. Spelling was my thing. You put me in a spelling bee, I could tear it apart, but they never would let me get in that spelling bee. But one of my math teachers forced me to be in a math bee, and I think I was out in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
And I was not upset either, because I said, hey, I knew right away that, it just wasn't for me, but I did it anyway. Yeah. All right, enough on that. So about your book, Doc, what was the defining moment that inspired you to write Bridges and Breakthroughs?
My mother had asked me some years ago to write some content, and I took the time to kind of think of some ideas, but I just put it down, and I was like, I'll get to it eventually. And when my mother passed in June of 2023, I really started contemplating what could I do to honor her. And in May of 2024, I said, you know what, I'm gonna start writing this book. And I would pen a little bit here and there. And then we went through a kind of a rough period here in our city in terms of upper level administration. And when we did, some things got highlighted regarding the people that were in our classrooms who were serving our kids every day. And so I decided, you know what, this is the time. We need a resource manual, if you will, to show people that there is a big difference between just being an educated employee and being an effective educator. Now, we appreciate the people who've taken these jobs, but they need to have resources to show that there is a difference and that you can make a transition. Because first and foremost, you better love these kids that you serve every day.
Thank you. I think that last statement is worth repeating over and over and over again, because kids know whether or not you have their best interests at heart. They know whether or not you care about them. They know whether or not you care about their success in terms of learning and everything else. And so they're affected by people who take those roles each and every day. And, basically, I don't know how you view it, but to me, teachers are almost like a second parent to kids
Absolutely.
because they spend a lot of time with you throughout the day before they send you, back to be with your regular family.
Man,
So
I'm a daddy to a lot of young people, and they will refer to me that way because some of them don't have that relationship, and they look forward to coming to school just so they can have that, that parental feel. Amazingly, even with some that have parents at home, it's just like it's different when you got somebody that really they feel like cares about you, because they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
exactly, one of my favorite quotes. That one is. All right. So getting back to what you said earlier, you distinguish between an educated employee and an effective educator. So how can someone recognize which role they're currently living, and what's the first step toward transformation?
See, sometimes it's very hard to recognize it because they think they are already there in terms of being an educator. But the differentiation comes when you recognize that don't, you respond and you don't react. For example, um, Doc, you come in and you smile every day. You got a great attitude. You're a good kid, right? You've never
Mhm.
given anybody any trouble. But on this particular Thursday, you come in and you got a frown on your face. You're snapping at everybody, right? If I'm an educated employee, I want a consequence. I want a parent to be called. You got to go to the office. You got a bad attitude. You're disrespectful. But if I'm an educator and I know your story, I'm going to respond and by saying, "Hey, just come here. Did you eat last night? I know you got three brothers and sisters, and you're the oldest. And I'm pretty sure your mother was at work late, and you had to make sure that your brothers and sisters got something to eat, got their homework done, and got to bed. And you probably had to get up this morning because your mom doesn't get off until 7, and so you had to get them ready for school. And you probably didn't eat breakfast, and you're probably sleepy. So let me give you a space. Maybe you go take a nap. I'm gonna pull all your work for the day, and we'll get your work done. And so that way you can catch up. But when that kid hears that, they know that you actually are concerned about them, and it comes out in their work because they now know that, okay, you know what, I don't want to fail this educator because they actually care about me outside of my performance in the school. That's the difference, Doc. It's got to be more than just about X's and O's like we said in football. It's got to be more about reading, writing, and arithmetic. I'm trying to educate the entire child, everything about you, so that when you leave us, you can pay it forward.
Exactly. I like how you said that. It's very important for educators to be able to hold space for their students. And so, like you said, instead of just reacting to what you see or reacting to the behavior or the attitude, you take a look and you back up and you say, okay, you first think of yourself all the many reasons that this behavior could be showing up, because you talk about it in your book, how the outside behavior is most likely the result of something going on the inside of the person. And so instead of the teacher being caught up and reacting to it, they're saying, okay, let me think about the student, let me think of everything that could be going on, let me ask the right questions, and then have a conversation with the student, just like you just said, and then that communicates to the student that, hey, this teacher cares about me, they're not just here to check a box. And so let me appreciate this moment, and now they begin to value the relationship, value even more as a teacher. And then you can get them to do what you need them to do, what
Yeah,
you want them to do. And they, like, in turn, like you said, they will appreciate it and they will want to perform for you and not be a disappointment.
absolutely. They respect your respect level goes through the roof when they see that you're genuinely concerned about them. So a lot of things that other people otherwise wouldn't be able to get them to do, they will do it because they respect you and they know that you care.
All right. All right. Thank you. In your chapter, Master the Mission, you emphasize leading from your why. So, how can educators rediscover and redefine their purpose in today's high pressure environments?
Well, it's like what I said earlier. I tell my teachers all the time that we're there to inspire kids, and you got to inspire them to be more than what the statistics say that they can be. You can't be a statistic. You got to set the standard. I tell that to my children every day. You set the standard for excellence. I don't care what anybody else says. You got one job, and that's to do your best. That's why it's important for me in my position to take away all the barriers. For example, Doc, I don't like for kids to pay for field trips. I can't stand for kids to have to pay senior fees for graduation. I hate that. I don't want any athlete to have to pay for a uniform. I want you to come to school and be able to learn effectively and not have to worry about these outside barriers keeping you from doing the things that you can do and do well because you can't, you know, it's all about us doing all we can to really, really impact change. Our why is to be an inspiration. It's even in the way you carry yourself when you dress. My daddy used to always say, dress for the job you want, not for the one you got. Because you want to set an example, let these kids see, hey, I can be that. Because guess what? I come from the same places you do. And if I can make it, I know you can. We come from the same streets. So therefore, don't look at me and look. I'm refined. I'm polished. Like I came here grown. I wasn't born an adult. Like on Mork and Mindy. I am here because hey, I was a kid too, and I understand what it's like to grow up and to have challenges and to have days when you don't feel like it. But because I understand and I empathize with you, hey, I can help you get through it.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Um, Miss Zonia, I think is her name, Glover, her chapter in your book, she challenges educators to know who they are serving. So, how do you see culturally responsive teaching reshaping the future of education?
Remember what I just said. It's about when you recognize those things, those moments when kids are not operating like they usually do, and you're actually reaching out to parents. I tell teachers all the time, don't just reach out to a parent because a kid has a challenge in your class. Reach out because, hey, this kid came prepared. This kid was operating well. They answered questions. They were on time. When you build those relationships and you're connecting with the parents like that, and they know, oh man, that teacher really is concerned about my child, right? And if you really, really are culturally responsive, it's okay. My teacher told me, and this dating myself a little bit, but my teacher told me when I was in high school, if you will learn this Romeo and Juliet, then I will learn any rap song that you tell me to learn. And we were, wow, okay, okay. And so we were coming up with all kinds of stuff for her to learn. But guess what? She learned it. And she learned it because she wanted to show that she's like, I'm connected to you. I want to meet you where you are. I want you to feel like this is a part of your DNA. She used to tell us that all the time. Like, I want the best out of you. And if I give you my best, then you give me your best. It came out in the writing. And so what Zonia talked about is being responsible because she came from a place you would never believe the journey she had as a young person. She was one of those kids that went through and was in alternative school and almost went to jail as a kid because she had a lot of challenges, but somebody cared enough about her to reach her where she was, and she completely turned her life around, and now she's a principal. And it's people that probably would never believe that this child would have made that, but look at her. And she's the proud principal, what she calls herself on social media, because she was recognized by someone of having potential to be great, and that's what she is.
Yeah, that she has a great, great story. And like you said, it takes a special person to be able to look beyond what they see in the moment, or what they might have heard about a student. It takes a special person to look outside the box, and like you said, be culturally responsible. I'm going to call it culturally humble, just because that's what I did my research on.
Yeah.
And basically, it's the same thing. Is can you be culturally humble enough to tap into what's important to the student, not just what you want to know about them, but what they feel is important to themselves as well, and build that effective relationship with them before you start to try to get them to do something. Try to connect, make that connection, and show them that they are important and that they have value, even beyond what they may think of themselves. So I agree with what you said.
Awesome.
All right. So one more question, then we're going to go to a commercial break. Dr. Shannon Cotton talks about connecting the content. What are some practical ways educators can make learning magnetic and meaningful for students who feel undervalued, unappreciated, and who quite frankly is just disconnected from the classroom?
Shannon is a numbers person, and she's one of those people that she looks at data very, very hard. The reason that I brought her, and we'll talk more about, how I selected the people to be a part of this, but the reason that I brought her in is because she has an amazing way of reaching young people who are, other words, what we call disenfranchised, the lost, the ones that are thrown away. She has an incredible way of bringing them up and making them feel like they're part of the process, and being in the classroom and wanting to make sure that they aren't forgotten. Shannon is the type of educator that will ask the kid who she knows doesn't know the answer to provide the answer. And even if it's wrong, she will celebrate them to say, you know what, you didn't get it right, but guess what? I know you can get it right the next time, because you are smart. You are way smarter than you think you are. And the kids will buy into that because she's so passionate about what she does, even as a principal. And she pours that into her people every day. And the kids just know, and the way she talks to them in the hallway and in the line, in the lunch line, in the bathroom line, she makes those kids feel like, yeah, I can do this. But she uses the data to show that, hey, this is the challenge, right? Here's the success. Let's look at the challenge and see how we can bridge the gap and push more over to the success side. And everybody that's around her, it's infectious in her building. And you can tell when you walk in that that's the way they operate. And the kids are like, yeah, I can't wait to get to school, because I know that my principal is going to pump me up as soon as I walk in. And they feel connected to the learning every day.
Great stuff. Great stuff. I remember not wanting to miss a day of school.
Right.
I was always excited about the next day. I got to go to school. I can remember, even if I was sick, I was like, no, I want to go. I've got to go. I felt like I was going to miss something, or, miss out on an opportunity for whatever it might be. But that
Even
oh, go ahead.
I said I hated to get sick. I'm like, man, I gotta miss school. I wanted to go to school, even when I was sick. Oh, it was something to do.
Yeah. And it was not only a learning opportunity, but it was also a social opportunity.
Absolutely.
And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that later, so I won't touch on that. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to a commercial break.
Yes,
those of you that are out there watching, hopefully you're getting something from this discussion with the awesome Dr. Trenton Watson. We're going to be right back. Don't go anywhere, because we want to keep this conversation going so that we can transform.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back. Are you just checking boxes or changing lives? Bridges and Breakthroughs by Dr. Trenton Watson is more than a book, it's a movement. It's your roadmap from routine to purpose, from task-driven to mission-led. Discover how to lead from your why, connect with student identity, and build powerful partnerships that transform classrooms and communities. Whether you're a teacher, coach, or school leader, this book will reignite your passion and remind you you are the bridge, you are the breakthrough. Available now on Amazon. Step into your purpose. Education is waiting.
What does leadership look like when it's stripped of ego and rooted in service? In Beneath the Crown, Dr. Aidan Brown delivers a transformational guide for leading with heart, humility, and unwavering purpose. This is not about chasing titles, it's about igniting impact. This book is a blueprint for visionaries ready to build legacy through service and authenticity. Step beneath the crown, lead with passion, live with purpose. Beneath the Crown is available now, so pick up your copy today and begin challenging your mindset and elevating your mission.
All right, we're back. Glad to have everybody in the room. We're talking to Dr. Trenton Watson about bridges and breakthroughs. So, Doc, before we get back into our conversation, I just want to read some of the challenge. I'm going to read some top 10 challenges for educators in 2025. I've got declining student attendance, student mental. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Did you have a comment?
No. Chronic absenteeism, but keep going.
All right. Student mental health and behavioral issues, teacher shortages and burnout, budget constraints and funding uncertainty, housing affordability for educators, addressing fundamental learning gaps, integrating AI and ed tech responsibly, creating inclusive and safe learning environments, supporting neurodiverse students, and also reimagining career pathways and college alternatives. Those were some of the challenges for educators in 2025. I'm sure that's not all inclusive, but all of those that I just read off, I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with all 10 of those because we see it happen every day. Absolutely. So, Eric Brent, Mr. Brent's chapter on stakeholder collaboration. That's a powerful chapter. What are some overlooked strategies for building trust and authentic partnerships with families and communities? And before you answer, I just wanted to comment on your comment in the last segment about building those relationships and not just waiting until a student is doing something or they present challenging behavior before you decide, hey, I'm going to call home and talk to the parents or whatever. I think it's very beneficial, as you said, to make sure that you're saying positive things to that student. Make sure you're pointing out growth moments to parents, because that helps you build a relationship not only with the child, but the parents as well. And so when you have that challenging moment, then you don't come off as this accusatory person or some person that's just trying to, get my student or my child into trouble, or you're judging my child or my student. Because sometimes when you would go to a parent, many parents, especially these days, will get offended. And sometimes teachers will find themselves in a battle with the parent. So I think what you said is quite effective, that if you make sure that you're building that relationship and building that rapport through just checking in and saying, how are you doing? Is there anything I can do to help you? Or, as again, like you said, recognizing the student for doing well. I think that goes a long way.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right. So what are some overlooked strategies for building trust and authentic partnerships with families and communities?
So one of the things that Eric and I would agree on wholeheartedly is that the building is not the only thing that needs to be on the block. the principal has to be on the block too. What I mean by that is, one of the things that we do, we walk the neighborhood. Our people actually see us, right? We're involved in the community activities. People see us on a regular. Even if you don't live in the area where your school is, you still got to be involved. People got to know that they can touch you. They got to know that they can get to you, and you're not standoffish. You're not pushing them back. You're drawing them in. For example, like one of the strategies I used in the school where I am now was when I came, I heard that the alumni of that school have not really been inside the school in years. So I started holding alumni meetings in the building. And I wanted them to make sure that they have an opportunity to come to the school so that they can be involved. We also started this thing called a legacy wall, where people can come and put their name on the wall. And even if you weren't a great athlete or a great student, you were a part of that community. Hey, here's an opportunity for you to give back to the school. It was a great, it's a great process. We got to make sure that we're out and about and people can see us. It's important. So they know that we're authentic, we're real, and that what we're trying to do is change the scope of our educating of our schools every day. Because our kids need it. And if we're consistent and then they won't come and volunteer and be consistent, it's great. I have alumni that will come at dismissal and just stand outside just to impact the kids. I'm not asking for you to, it's not all about money. Sometimes it's just about time. Just spend a little time because the kids won't forget that you actually came and showed some support to them. And when we have, at my school, I do a fight free vision. So every 30 days I do a celebration. Well, my alumni pays for the food for the kids, and we feed every kid in the building. And we have a celebration that we haven't had any incidents to report in 30 days. So this year we're trying to make history. We want to go a full 180 calendar days with no incidents. And I actually have someone who's going to give money to every kid in that building if we make that happen. But that's about building partnerships. So you have to, that's how you do it. Yeah, and people will get behind you when they see that you're authentic and you're really trying to make a difference. So shout out to Eric for his chapter because, like I say, Eric works hard at what he does at his school.
Thank you. I like that, and it reminds me of something that we did in the military to battle DUI and DWI incidents, and not just those incidents, but what our commanders would do is say, if we went 30 days or 6 months, whatever it was, if we went that long without an incident, without a serious incident occurring where there would be a soldier death or just something where somebody got a DUI or whatever, if we went so many days or months, there would be something like a 4-day weekend, or we would have some sort of pizza party or something was rewarded for that. And so it often worked because us being the soldiers, hey, we wanted those 4 days off. We wanted not to have to wake up in the morning and go to PT for a week or whatever the incentive was. And so it's interesting that you also implement that type of concept in the elementary school, or because that, you're right, it works,
right,
and people can get behind it.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So Dr. Renee Meeks speaks to second career educators. What unique strengths do you think that they bring, and how can schools better support their transition and impact?
Well, because they have been in different career paths, they bring a different perspective, coming into education. And their foundation was different because then, you've been in, most of the times you have people that have been 10, 15 years in another career, and they're coming into education, trying to see if they can make an impact. You have to make sure that they have the resources to, do the job effectively. Dr. Meeks is the guru. We call her the GOAT because, she's been Tennessee School Principal of the Year. She is the rock of the crew, and we lean on her a lot because she's very intentional about making sure that people are comfortable and doing their job. And I can appreciate that because you don't want to just be in there, just going through the motions. You got to be comfortable doing the work. You got to be real knowledgeable on the content and be effective at using it appropriately to make sure you're reaching kids. Even though she's in the elementary and I'm in the high school, I lean on her a lot to try to figure out how I can make my job better. And when I go into these classrooms, when I'm looking for certain things, how I can help my teachers master the concept. Even though some of them have come from different career paths, they have a little bit of knowledge. We want them to have a lot when they're teaching these kids. And she is super effective at that. And that's why she's been doing it as long as she has, because she is effective. And her chapter was really, really insightful in talking about how to make that transition.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, let's talk about the team that you put together for your book.
Sure.
You have assembled a diverse and passionate group of contributors. So what was the collaborative process like, and how did each voice help you to shape the final message of your book?
So when I thought about this process, so I've actually contributed to some previously, and I was getting ready to create this manuscript on my own, but I thought it would be more impactful if I had others to get involved. And so, of course, I prayed about who I could ask to be a part of this. And literally, God showed me the faces of all of them. And I was like, wow. And I tell you, each one of them had a different message, but it all centered back about loving children and making sure that our kids were getting the best in these classrooms every day, in these schools every day. And ironically, one of them, Dr. Cotton, was actually in the last stages of her doctoral program. So when I asked her, she said, "You got to be crazy to think I'm on a chapter, and I'm less than a month away from finishing this program." She's like, "I don't have time." So I kind of twisted her arm. She calls me a bully because I kind of twisted her arm because she graduated on a Saturday, and the following Monday her chapter was due for the book. So she was able to get it done. Love her for it, but she was like, "Dude," she always calls me a bully, but I've known her for 30 years, so she didn't really have a choice in the matter. And so it's just it's been it was very organic. I can say that because these are people that I talk to on a consistent basis. So it wasn't hard to to make this happen, and they did, and it was just like wow, and it's been much better than I could have ever dreamed of.
Great. I, for one, enjoyed the book. I think I told you, if you could actually see the book, I've got so much highlights in here. And I think I even wrote some notes because as I was reading some of the concepts and information in the book, it related to things that, I've read elsewhere, or either some of my own concepts or ideas, and I would write little things to say, oh, that's what that means as well. So I would recommend this book to anybody that is a current educator or somebody that's aspiring to be an educator. If you can get Dr. Trent's book on bridges and breakthroughs, the shift from educated employee to effective educator, I would recommend that you get this book. And that's why you saw that awesome commercial that called your book a must read. I stand by that. It is a must read. So, Doc, if you could wave a wand and change one systemic issue in education today, what would it be, And how does your book help move toward that change?
If I can be able to imagine, it's kind of what I said before, is to get back to when people were breaking down walls trying to get into the business to be effective. Um, I also would ask that we get out of our own way when it comes to figuring out what the purpose of what we're doing is every day, and stop bickering with one another when it comes to the overall concept of making sure that we're effectively educating these children. If you don't love what you do, then you're in the wrong business. It's got to be quality over quantity. But if you're going to be here, you got to love them. I promise you, because our parents send us the best they have. And the best they have may be cursing you out every day. But because they don't know any better, don't hold it against them. Try to respond to the need instead of reacting to the problem. That's what we got to do, Doc. It's the only way we're going to win in the end.
I agree most powerfully. The kids, it kind of made me think of that Whitney Houston song, that line that says, "I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Teach
Give
them.
them a sense of pride.
Teach them
To
what. Yeah, give them a sense of pride. That song is far more powerful than people really realize. It's the words of that song is extremely powerful, because you and I cannot work until we 90 years old because we can't pass the torch. We're supposed to pass the torch to the next generation and be able to sit back and be comfortable knowing that they got it.
Exactly. And I'm wondering, Doc, because I wonder if anybody feels comfortable enough to pass that torch.
If you
Because see
ask me,
what's happening, right?
yeah,
And as you said, we can't work until, I mean, we could, but we shouldn't have to. We should be able to feel like we gave what we needed to give, and that torch was grabbed, and we can watch comfortably as the next generation takes off and keeps running uh, until they have to pass the torch. And so, as I look at the way education is going, and some of the things, some of the direction and the things our learners face, it's a real concern. It's a real concern. And I'll just give one example. I'm not sure what genius decided to take cursive writing out of the school, um, but a lot of the generation of today cannot write their own name, can't fill out an application. Now, get it? I think, and the answer is, well, everything's online. Well, not necessarily, and not everything. And so it is my belief that you need to know how to write. You need to know how to sign your own name. You need to know how to be able to read cursive writing.
right.
But we have a lot of people who do not know how to write cursive. Um, so how do you feel about that?
I've always thought that that was interesting that they took that out of the school, because I remember being in elementary and that was a focal point of our learning. And I felt a certain type of way because Ms. Williams made it a point that if you learn how to write in cursive, you could sign your name. That means, that was almost like an adult process. Like, man, I'm a big boy because I can sign my name. And instead of just writing and printing it, I can sign it. That means my signature meant something. Uh, Talked about, why you had to sign your name when you sign, documents and contracts. That means you were important because you could sign it. but they took that away for some reason. I don't know why, but Doc, if you look at it, they took away cursive writing, but every document you see says print and signature. So you take that away, but they still have to sign. That makes no sense.
Yeah, it's amazing to me, and it
Print.
kind of makes me think of when the slaves couldn't read or write, and then they would sign an X, just put an X because they didn't know how to write their name. And so now we have generations. Now we have generations of learners who cannot write their own name in cursive. And to me, it's almost like saying the same thing, that they're basically just putting marks down on a piece of paper and not knowing how to write their name in cursive. So it just makes me it doesn't give me a great feeling or vibe when I see the direction of the way that we've taken so many things out of the school that we know was a great contributor to our upbringing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So for educators listening right now who feel burned out, stuck, or maybe they gave up or feel like giving up, what's one breakthrough mindset shift they can make today to reignite their passion for education, for educating?
Don't focus on the challenges, focus on the opportunities. You have an opportunity today to make a difference. And as cliche as it might sound, it's the truth. Because these children need you. I know it can be difficult. I know it comes with a lot of responsibility. But don't focus on the things that are challenging you. You focus on this is an opportunity to turn the corner. Somebody believed in you. That's why you're there. Somebody believed in you. That's why you can stand and deliver. So focus on that. It's almost like when you do, public speaking is one of the hardest things in the world for people to do. One of the tools that I've used in public speaking is to focus on that point on the back wall. I make it looks like I'm looking at everybody in that crowd, but I'm really just looking on that point in the back wall, so I don't get lost in the challenge of all the people that are in the room that's making me nervous. I gotta focus on, why I'm here. I gotta focus on knowing who I'm serving. I gotta focus on building these relationships with stakeholders, connecting the content, right? And making the appropriate shift so I can impact change. That's my focus, not the challenges that come with it. That's going to come. So that's the difference. Yeah.
Exactly. Why am I here? What impact am I supposed to have on these children that are placed in my trust, my care for the time that they're there? And I love your example because I can remember being in elementary school, and we would have performances, and I would be the one that would be nervous with all the butterflies or not want to go in front of people. And I can remember my mother telling me, all you got to do is find the clock on the wall.
Yeah.
Find a clock on the wall, find it, just stir at that and just deliver. And, that one thing helped me because whenever I would mount a stage to do anything, mostly like if I would sing or I would speak, if I was nervous, I would find something to look at and then I would deliver every time. And then, when I was comfortable enough to not have to stare at an inanimate object, then I would look into the crowd and find pleasant faces, find people who look like they were connecting. And those are the faces that I focused on instead of focusing on somebody that let's say, might have been frowning or looked like they're having a bad day. And so I think that's important for teachers as well. You know, when you're up there delivering, and those kids, whatever is going on, you may not know it, but you got to focus on them. And like you said earlier, try not to react, but respond to them in a way that they can receive whatever it is that you are talking to them about, or whatever feedback that you're trying to get them to receive. So I think that is a challenge for educators today, but I think that everybody can do it with the right tools and the right resources and the right support.
Absolutely. It can be done.
All right. So, I wish we could talk about this. You know what? We probably won't make. I'm sure I'll reach out again because this won't be the only time. But
Sure.
what is there any other point that you would make that we haven't talked about on the show so far?
No, I think we pretty much hit the nail on the head because it's important that people know that in this business, it's most impactful that you love what you do, that you're trying to inspire every day, and that you don't focus on the challenges so much as the opportunities. And I think we just honed in on that. We can all win in the end. It's enough cake for all of us to eat. And so we got to make sure that we're doing our part so that these kids don't ever want for anything, period.
Exactly. And I would say to the parents out there, if you're a parent who is listening, or you're a parent that will listen, be involved in the education process for your child. Make sure that, and I'm saying this from experience, make sure that you know who your parents' teachers are. Make sure that you know how to get in contact with them. Make
Yeah,
sure that you actively involved, and that you know what assignments are due, and assignments that your kids may be struggling with. Um, be involved. That way, you're playing an active role in your child's education, and also you're assisting the educators as well. Because I'm sure for an educator, it's nothing worse than having a parent that's not really involved in their learner's educational process.
absolutely.
So I know you're busy. I know there's lots of things going on, but stay involved, and show up to some of those meetings. Show up. Don't just show up for the games. Show up for the meetings, and show up when there's nothing going on. Just show up just to check in.
Yeah,
Um,
make time. Don't just
yeah,
make
yeah,
time because
yeah,
you it's important. You got to make time.
exactly. Well, I'll tell you, this has been an awesome show. I'm glad for those of you out there that have joined in. I hope that you got value out of the information that was presented here. Dr. Watson, why don't you go ahead and give our listeners and viewers information on how they can get your book, how they can contact you outside of this platform?
Well, I'll definitely pick up the book. It is on Amazon. You can also check out our website at effectiveeducators.com. Also on Facebook at Effective Educators, and Trenton Watson on LinkedIn. Anytime you want to reach out, I promise in one way, shape, or form, I will be able to get back with you. Again, it has been a delight and an honor to be on the show today. I am most humbled by this opportunity.
All right. And thank you also for, like I said, accepting the invitation. You could be anywhere right now, but you are on DrWhitty Today. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Um, Everybody out there, you can find me at drwhitty.org. And you can also check me out on Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and also Twitch. We are on every other Monday at 7 p.m. And we love to bring you education like this. So please don't hesitate to join in. And we'll see you next time on DrWhitty Today. Thank you, Dr. Watson. Stand by for the after show.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us on DrWhitty Today. We appreciate your time, and your viewership is the heartbeat of our show. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and most importantly, subscribe. Your support keeps us going, and we can't wait to have you back. So hit the notification bell to find out each time we air live. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, stay motivated, and stay tuned.